So I watched that Grail Country discussion of being and particularity and persons relation from yesterday. And I was thinking about like this sort of joking kind of understatement and what kind of communication that is. Like, say there's a couple that's been together for like 10 years. And you know what? In case there are older married people on this, we're going to go like 30 years because to them maybe 10 years would be nothing. The point is, they've been together for a significant amount of time. And they could say, like, I love you with all my heart, I'm going to stay with you for the rest of my life, etc. But say that one of them instead is like, hey, like, do you like me? Or like, I think I might have a crush on you, or something like that. And, or just something understated that both parties understand is an understatement, right? This understatement that in its way sort of carries and suggests even more sincerity than sincerity by being limited and reserved and understated. That sort of little transcendent irony. I'm using irony loosely, don't at me. It's like there's something in that communication between those people that transcends the word and like the semantic level. So this is a kind of communication which very prominently includes like, or in which to fully understand it like, how do you call it, centers it, not backgrounds, but the other thing, it pushes forth the like wordless communion between the hearts of the people. That wordless participation and like love and deeper communion is always necessary for any kind of communication on a linguistic or acting kind of level to take place, but we sometimes forget about it. And this kind of playful understatement highlights that. And sort of brings it up into the level of the discourse, or rather leaves a space in the discourse, gesturing at that mystery, so to speak. And this sort of, well, Rainer Maria Rilke, I have mixed feelings about him, but he said something about the relationship between lovers is like always changing. At every moment it's something different. And a lot of that is like defined by this sort of teasing, this sort of reserve, this sort of playful like drawing back, and like flirtation and like back and forth. And this is a beautiful analogy, it struck me, for the way that like God creates ex nihilo, which as they discussed means out of God's self, or the way that like being relates into and becomes particularity. And it's this sort of it's the same kind of thing as looking at somebody, knowing that you could like say or do anything, and choosing to make this tiny little gesture or to say this like really like yeah, this complete understatement. It's sort of laughing at itself and like drawing a limit and limiting itself just because I can. I shouldn't use it, that sounds very impersonal, but sort of for the fun or for like the humor of it. You know, I don't know who said this, but like that creation is the ability of God, of being not to be. And it's not like in a negative way, it's like with, it's funny in a way. It's done in a spirit of like humor and delight and communion, necessarily. If that makes any sense. This is like a feeling and it's not in words. Other, I suppose, than the words of that example. Of course, this is only dishwasher. Of course, this is only like half of the picture, right? Because the other aspect of love is like this complete self-giving, complete honesty, and like no reserve at all. And that seems like the opposite of this teasing, flirting, like drawing back, reserve, understatement. How does that fit in? But it's the same. It's analogous to the way that being is through particularity. Like those are the two sides of the same coin. And there is something that transcends and sort of gathers up both, like the two sort of movements of self-giving or self-pouring, and then like this drawing back, or being with no limitation and then like limitation and particularity. Are completely interpenetrating and because of course it's the transcendent particular, right? The way that, say, a loving relationship is expressed is always through, even in like those moments of complete limitlessness and self-pouring, like say there are two people who are in limited, human bodies, or it's in a certain time and in a certain space. Like there is always that element of limitation. And conversely, when they do like draw back or understate, it's in order to express a fuller sincerity than just like straight sincerity would be. So it's both. You can't really separate the two movements. They're completely interlocking or interwoven, and then there is that like dimension beyond that. The synthesis, of course, like the identity of identity and non-identity, or in this case, the limitlessness of limitation and limitlessness. The self-pouring, the self-giving of receding or kenosis, or like kenosis fit there, hiding oneself, limiting, and of self-pouring. Oh goodness, that was long. Yeah. Transcendent irony, transcendence. Would that even be irony? I don't know what irony means anymore. Hold up, I'm not finishing it that way, then I'm just gonna leave people with a general impression of the whole stupid debate over what the word irony means. There's not where to end this. Yeah. When you look at it from the proper angle, I guess when we have a heart to heart communion with God in the same way that lovers would have a heart to heart communion with each other, particularity and limitation is not like this absence and this lack or this tragedy, but it's with a spirit of delight and playfulness in the same way as a couple who's very confident in their underlying love might tease each other or understate their love.